we are launching today is an initiative campaign through which the people of Bellingham will reassert their right to govern themselves. The initiative will simultaneously address an immediate and severe threat to our community: the noisy, dusty, polluting, disruptive coal trains.
In January of 2010, there were workshops being organized in our area that were addressing this corporate control of our government, as well as workshops called democracy schools. Both kinds of workshops describe the structure of the current laws that have arisen that give corporations and their remote boards of directors a greater say in what goes on in our local communities than we have. Around the same
time, our aim here today is to introduce a new tool to this work, one that addresses the legal framework that allows those harms to be inflicted upon us. For this part of the program, we're going to call on Stony Bird. Stony is a retired...
What I'm here to do today, right now, is talk about why we need a Bill of Rights in Bellingham. There are two basic reasons. One related to our environmental laws, the other related to the overall power relationships in our society. In either case, the overriding principle is that corporate boards of directors have decision-making powers that override what the people living in communities want for their communities. If the project is legal, it's going to occur whatever the local community says. That's the way our system works now. Before we get into the details, when a harmful project comes along, it typically requires a permit. By the way, that tells you something about permits. What a permit does is take something that is harmful and make it legal. Permits are there to allow things that cause harm to proceed. Administratively complete. The bias in our legal system for approving projects can seem overwhelming. For the corporate applicant, this process of perfecting a permit application is subsidized by us, the taxpayers, because for the corporate applicant, the expenses of completing the application and then defending it is tax deductible. That is not true for the community groups who are trying to defend their communities. Sometimes the community can manage to bring in a requirement of mitigation. All that means is that the project isn't going to be quite as harmful as it originally was going to be, but still the basics of it are there, and the basic harm will occur. In the last several years, about 130 communities around the United States have decided to do the same thing. They were faced with a great variety of harmful projects: factory hog farms, mining the groundwater, spreading toxic sewage sludge, installing a toxic waste incinerator. In Pittsburgh, a city of 300,000, it was natural gas fracking. In each case, the community banned the harmful practice instead of merely attempting to regulate it. And over time, they dug into the framework of laws that facilitated the bias in favor of granting permits no matter what the effects. Those communities, like ours, found themselves in a situation where the legal system as a whole did not provide them with what they needed. Suffice it to say for now that some of its elements include corporate constitutional rights, the subordinate position of municipal governments, and conceiving of nature as nothing more than property without rights of its own. The tradition in America when people find that the legal system is unsatisfactory, is for them to stand up with a clear statement of what they believe the legal system needs to be. That's how this country got started in 1776. It's how the movement to abolish slavery worked. It's what women had to do in order to get the right to vote. There are many more examples. For Bellingham and the other communities along any of the possible train routes, there's a choice between rolling the dice with the current system of environmental laws when we know that the dice are loaded, and standing up to demand a different system. To the people of those communities, to the people of Bellingham, to the people in this room, we say, stand up with us. Support this initiative. Change the system to one of justice and sustainability. Insist on our right to decide.
We address ourselves to cities along the proposed coal train route outside of Whatcom County, from Spokane in the east to Longview in the south, and all up and down western Washington. We ask you to join us in preventing this common threat. We ask you to join us in confronting the structures of law that take away our local rights of decision. We ask you to join us in adopting your own ordinance, just like the one we're launching here today.
We address ourselves to local business and ask whether you want the city to be cut off from its waterfront. The trains may force the $2 billion plans for redevelopment of the former GP site to be profoundly affected and may sweep away many of the jobs that redevelopment would have provided. People and businesses may move away because of the threat and the impact of these coal trains. We wish to avoid this threat to your prosperity and the prosperity of our entire community. We ask for your support.
We address ourselves to the press and say that we are undertaking this campaign as something that we must do because it will right the balance of power that has been unbalanced for so long. And because acting locally is all that is left for us. For 150 years, corporations have been increasing their control of the legal, political, financial, and media systems in our country.
We address ourselves to environmental groups like Resources, the Sierra Club, and Climate Solutions. You have been fighting environmentally harmful projects for decades, and we salute you for that work. You have increased public awareness of the importance of environmental protection. Less often, you've been able to stop projects that cause harm. We invite you to consider our initiative as another and more fundamental tool in the fight against environmental harm. We invite you to join us in supporting this initiative.
We address ourselves to our brothers and sisters in the labor movement and ask you to consider the overall effect of the coal port on jobs. There will be some at the port, but they will be accompanied by great harm to the quality of life of the whole community. The number of jobs from the Bellingham waterfront redevelopment and after will most likely exceed those at the port, and these will be lost if the coal trains are allowed to wall off our waterfront. Join us in seeking a future with overall benefit for the whole community, including you.
We also address ourselves to our brothers and sisters in the Occupy movement, who already understand the harmful and anti-democratic effects of corporate power. To you we say, this is a way forward. Through this initiative, the people of Bellingham will exercise their inalienable right to govern themselves instead of being governed by the remote corporate decision makers. Through this initiative, we will begin to unravel the deep structure of laws which now grant superior powers to corporations. We ask for your support.
We address our elders and prior generations. Your decisions created the system we are now trying to undo. In your time, those decisions were no doubt the right ones. But because of those decisions, the world has now reached the limits of growth and probably exceeded the limits of growth. Our times call for fundamental change. We must overcome the inertia of a system whose time, like that of coal, has come and gone. For this, we seek the adoption of the Bellingham Community Bill of Rights, and we ask for your support.
Speaking for I grew up in the small town of Lexington, Massachusetts, and I spent my summers giving tours of the Battle Green, where 8 men of the town laid down their lives in the first battle of the American Revolution. So I have some sense of the way that small places can serve as crucial hinges of history. Bellingham is in that position. Thanks to geography, since Cherry Point is one of the few places where the coal barons can send their cargo off to China. They're desperate to turn the town into a transshipment point. If they succeed, massive amounts of carbon will pour through Bellingham each year and hence into the atmosphere, rising the temperature, acidifying the oceans. But that means you have the chance to do the world and yourselves an enormous service. If you can keep those trains at bay, then the coal will stay in the ground. That's why I'm so happy to see the people pursuing a variety of methods to win this fight, from trying to influence national, state, and county politics, to trying to pass this ordinance designed to make local control meaningful. Somehow, these strategies must combine to win this battle. The stakes are simply too high to lose. But there's no place in America whose people I have more confidence in. Bellingham has proved over and over again it understands the power of local in a way no city has duplicated. Now that local solidarity stands poised to deliver a great gift to the entire globe. We'll do all we can to help, and we're so grateful to all of you on the front lines.
So that's the context of our Bellingham Community Bill of Rights. Basically the 4 points. The need to assert our local right of self-government. The need to confront the laws that presently give corporations superior rights over citizens and local communities. The need to stop the immediate threat of the coal trains, a threat in so many ways to our local communities and a threat to the world through that inevitable burning of all that coal. Our hope also of collaborating with other communities facing the same threats.
No coal in Wyoming, no coal in Montana, no coal in Idaho, no coal in Spokane, no coal in Seattle, no coal in Mount Vernon, no coal here in Bellingham, no coal up in Ferndale, no coal out in Acme, no coal in Van Zandt. We don't like it here or there.